Hello, I'm AJ Hogue. Welcome to the Effortless English Show, the show that teaches you how to speak English powerfully. How can you be a great public speaker? That's our topic today. Last year, I was in Hanoi, Vietnam, and I was backstage, behind the stage, in a very large room. And in the other room, in that large room, there were 3,000 people waiting for me to speak to them. They're playing loud music, getting everybody excited. And I was in the other room preparing for my speech, preparing for my presentation. Here's the thing. I was not nervous. I was excited. I was getting more and more excited. I could feel the energy of the group in the other room. I was thinking about my presentation. I was thinking about my introduction. I wanted to start the speech, the presentation, with a lot of energy. Then I heard them introducing me. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome AJ Hogue. And then as I ran onto the stage, 3,000 people were chanting my name. AJ Hogue, AJ Hogue, AJ Hogue. We're playing this kind of loud rock music, and then I started jumping and dancing, and the whole group, all 3,000 people, joined me, jumping and dancing and yelling my name, AJ Hogue. It was amazing. I felt fantastic. And then, of course, finally we got everyone to calm down. I started my speech, feeling strong and excited and energetic, feeling a connection, a strong connection to the audience, feeling their energy, and their energy gave me energy, and my energy gave them energy. Up, up, up we went. It was fantastic. That's my experience with public speaking and presentations now. But why is this an important topic? Why is public speaking an important topic? Why is it an important skill for you, for your career, maybe even for your personal life? The thing that makes public speaking powerful and important is influence. When you talk to one person, well, then you can influence that one person. You can communicate your ideas, your feelings, your vision, your leadership to just that one person. If you're at a dinner party or with a few people, then again, you have a very limited number of people you can affect. The reason public speaking is powerful is that it widens your audience. You can influence and affect many, many, many more people. Hundreds, perhaps thousands. The top public speakers and presenters influence millions. It gives you that influence, that leadership, and of course that helps your career. Let me give you another example. Let's imagine a scientist, just a scientist. So a scientist, and this scientist wants to have more influence within their field, with other scientists. They want to grow their career. And let's imagine, however, this scientist is kind of shy, introverted, and is terrified of public speaking. So this scientist can write some papers, and that will certainly help them influence people. However, we have another scientist. Let's imagine a second scientist, and that second scientist works on getting better at public speaking. And that scientist, of course, writes papers also, but scientist number 2 also goes to conferences and gives speeches gives presentations about their ideas, about their work. And they do this again and again and again over time. The second scientist will probably have a better career, will probably have better connections with other scientists, will probably get more influence. Of course, it depends on many things. It depends on their work, if their work is good, all of that. But if all of that is equal, then the one who is the good public speaker will gain more influence. And it's true for you. It's true for scientists. It's true for teachers like me, coaches. It's true in every profession. It's even true in hobbies. Public speaking gives you this multiplied influence. That's why it is so important. Now, of course, I did not start in the beginning speaking to 3,000 people, feeling great, feeling excited. I can remember my first public speech, actually. It was in a public speaking class at Dale Carnegie, which is excellent, by the way. And I remember it was my very first one, and I was sitting in a chair. It was only a little group, about 30 people in our class. And I was waiting. Someone else was speaking, one of the other students, and I was the next one. And I was sitting there feeling sick. And I was sitting in my chair, kind of hunched over. My shoulders were down. My stomach felt terrible. But the worst part for me was this feeling in my throat. That's where I felt the stress and the fear and the nervousness. My throat tightened. It got tight. And so when I walked up onto the stage and started to speak, my voice sounded very weird, very strange, because my throat was so tight. So I was trying to force myself to speak, but I can't do it now. It hurts my throat. But that's what happened. I was so nervous that my throat got tight and my voice sounded strange. And as I was beginning my speech, I realized my voice sounded strange. That made me feel more embarrassed and more nervous, which made me even worse. My hands shook. My hands would shake when I was speaking. This is probably the reason I learned to start moving my hands a lot as a public speaker, to hide the shaking of my hands. And in fact, even now, when I get a lot of energy and I'm excited before a speech, sometimes my hands will still shake. I'm not feeling afraid usually, but it's just a lot of energy in my body, and it can still happen sometimes. So you are not alone. You see all these studies and all these research and polls where they ask questions, what is the most scary thing in the world to you? And public speaking is usually near the top of the list. You know, maybe bungee jumping or parachuting, and then public speaking, risking your life. And public speaking, in terms of fear, many people say they're almost equal. That speaking to a group of people is almost as scary, or some people think it's more scary than jumping out of a plane or doing some other very dangerous thing. It's interesting, right? So it's normal. Most people are terrified of public speaking when they first start. There may be a few special people who are not. I was terrified of it. So it took me time. This is a skill I developed. It was not natural. It was not I was not instantly good at it. And I'm still improving, of course, but I'm much better now than I was when I started. And you also can be much better. So even now, if you feel terrified when you give a speech, if your body feels horrible, if your voice sounds strange, if you give terrible speeches, that's okay. Most people do in the beginning. There's hope. You can improve. So let's talk about how you do that. I think the obvious thing, it seems obvious to me, that the most important thing is to master your emotions when you give a speech. For some reason, every public speaking course I've seen ignores the emotion part. They teach you techniques, how to organize a speech, how to use your hands, all these little things. But the big thing is fear and nervousness. And they never teach you how to handle that. And that's the big thing. That's number one. Because if you can just master your emotions, you know how to talk already. So it's not a big deal, actually. Once you can feel excited or at least calm when you're giving a speech, that's 90%. You can stand up there, you'll sound good. And then, of course, you can do more advanced things later to sound great. So mastering those emotions, that's the key thing. There are kind of two levels to develop as a public speaker and with your emotions. The first one I call conversational level. That's just feeling calm and relaxed. Being able to stand up in front of a group of people and not be terrified. To just be relaxed, like you're having a conversation with your friend. So you feel calm, relaxed, your breathing is normal, and then you just talk to the audience like you're having a conversation in a very normal, relaxed way. You don't need to use special techniques. You don't need to be very formal, ladies and gentlemen, blah, blah, blah. None of that. You just talk to them. Hi, everyone. How you doing? So I'm here today to talk to you about whatever. And then you just chat with them. That's a great first level to achieve. Most people don't even do that. So if you can do that, you will sound very good. Just being calm and relaxed and your normal self, having a chat with the audience. And it doesn't matter if the audience is 5 people or 50 or 500 or 5,000 or 50,000. Doesn't matter. You just still chat with them like you're in a small room having a conversation. Level 2, I would say, is inspirational. That means you inspire the audience. And that's more energetic. That requires a few other techniques and skills to learn so that you can get the audience jumping and shouting and feeling great. And most importantly, you can help the audience make positive changes in their life. So when they leave your speech, they're different in a good way. They're more motivated. They're more happy. They're more excited. That's a higher level. Some people they want to immediately jump to level 2 and inspire an audience, but they're not ready to just chat yet. So first you got to learn just to chat and have a conversation and tell stories and be very calm. After you can do that, then the next level is you can work on being energetic and inspiring and fun and funny and all of that stuff. So how do you do it? That's the question, right? It sounds good. How do you do that? How do you master your emotions? And it's very simple. Practice. You must practice. You got to practice this constantly all the time, meaning every day if possible. And you have to practice in a specific way. That's the key thing. A lot of people, they practice a speech, they just try to memorize the points, the key points. Some people even read their speech, which is a terrible idea. Don't do that. And that's all they do. They think that's practicing. That's not practicing. That's memorizing. Yes, you need to remember the topics of your speech, but that's just the most basic kind of practice. It's not going to help you feel better when you stand up. Yes, you have to do it, but there's another level. That's where you stand up in a room by yourself, is fine, and you give your speech with no notes. No notes. And you just talk in a conversational way. Each time you practice, the speech will be a little different because you're not reading notes, you're not memorizing something. You just know the general topics, the general stories you want to tell. So each time you practice them, they'll come out a little bit differently. You can do this in front of a mirror. Even better, you can get a little video camera or use your webcam and record yourself giving your speech. So a very important thing you want to do in step 1 is practice breathing very deeply and get yourself in a very calm, emotional state. In other words, make yourself feel very calm and relaxed, get a big smile on your face, and then give your speech, feeling calm and relaxed. And imagine you're talking to just one good friend. And you're just chatting with them about your topic. Record yourself. When you're done, look at the recording. You'll notice that it's probably not very good. That's fine. What do? You do it again. You stand up, and again, you chat to the mirror. You chat to the camera. And very important, the important part of this is the emotion, that you keep yourself feeling calm, breathing deep. Your shoulders are back, so you're feeling kind of confident. You stand strong. Don't practice like this with your shoulders down. And use a nice, strong voice, but a normal voice. Your shoulders are back. Your head is up. You're smiling. Put a big, even if it's a fake smile, it's okay. Just put a big, crazy smile on your face, and then chat about your topic. And you do this again and again, week after week after week. And you start training yourself to feel more calm and to talk conversationally when you give a speech. And of course, if you can give a lot of speeches, that helps too. So you join some speech class if you can, or Toastmasters. They're a speech group organization all over the world, and very cheap. Or if you can't do that, record yourself giving speeches, and once a week, put one of your speeches, one of your videos, onto YouTube. Make it public. So then you'll know it's not just you. You're performing this for other people. Other people will see it. It makes it more real. Step 2 of the practice, when you start feeling more calm, when you can talk more conversationally, then you start getting yourself excited before you practice. That's so you have your shoulders back, your head's up, but then you start jumping, play some exciting music, get yourself feeling really great, really strong, really excited, and then practice your speech. Then give your speech. Feeling great, feeling strong, feeling powerful. The first few times it will sound bad, of course, but then you keep doing it again and again. Videotape yourself again, record yourself again on your webcam, whatever. Keep doing it. Put it on YouTube. Put one of them on YouTube, your final one, or do this with a real group of people in a speech class or Toastmasters or something. And then as you keep practicing feeling strong, feeling great when you give a speech, eventually you train your mind, you train your body, you train your emotions so that when you give a speech, you feel great. And that's what has happened with me. Finally, it took time. It didn't just instantly happen. I had to do this again and again and again and again. But now, finally, when I'm going to give a speech, I usually feel excited. However, there are still times when I might feel a little bit nervous. If I'm giving a speech to a group that I don't know well, that's not my usual audience, like maybe I'm going to speak to a bunch of older corporate executives, and they don't know anything about me. Well, I'll be a little more nervous in that situation. So before the speech, I might go to the bathroom or go somewhere by myself and get myself feeling strong and jump around and breathe deep and make myself more excited. So then when I go give the speech, I'm feeling great. So these are all little techniques just to get you started on more effective practice for public speaking. It takes time, it takes a lot of repetition, but you will improve. And maybe someday you will be standing in front of 3,000 people and they'll be calling your name. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It can happen. You just must keep going, keep practicing, improving day after day, week after week, month after month. You can do it. I can do it. You can do it. Because I was terrible in the beginning too, so you can also achieve this. Well, as usual, it's question time. So this is where I answer your questions from Twitter. My Twitter account is AJHoge, AJHOGE. So let's go and let's talk about this. Our first question from Twitter, I was about to say YouTube. Our first question from Twitter is, English is not my native language, so how can I practice and be a good public speaker in English? It's really no different. The only difference is that because you're not using your own native language, the emotions are even stronger. You'll feel even more nervous. Why? Because you're thinking things like you're telling yourself, oh, I'm not good at English. Oh, what if they don't understand me? Oh, my accent is bad. Oh, I'm good. What if I make a grammar mistake? All these little fears in your head make you feel even worse, even more nervous. So just let me tell you something. They told me this in the Dale Carnegie course, my first public speaking course, because we had people from other countries in my class. And they told them, and they told all of us, that it doesn't matter. And they're right. Nobody in the audience cares about your grammar. If you have an accent, it's not a big problem. You know, as long as you're fairly clear, they will understand you. They want to hear your ideas. They want to feel your emotions. That's why they come to hear you. They're not there for an English lesson, unless they're coming to see me. But if they're coming to see you, they're probably not there to learn English. They want to hear your ideas. They want to hear your stories. They want to feel what you feel. So the most important thing is that you feel calm, that you feel happy to be there. And when the audience feels that, and when you talk to them in a conversational way, they will respond. You will have a successful speech. Even if you make grammar mistakes, people don't care about that stuff. They don't. Focus on your ideas and your emotions. That's what is important. All right, let's go to our next Twitter question about public speaking. Okay, well, it's a similar question from Abdallah Fouda. Says, I'm Arabian and I cannot do an accent, an American accent, British accent, and a lot of people misunderstand me. Fair enough. If your accent is so strong that people cannot understand you, then maybe you need to practice pronunciation more. You do not need to sound exactly like me, not necessary. But you might want to just focus a little bit on pronunciation so it's a little more clear so that the audience does understand you. And the way to do that, there are many ways to do that. I recommend using a movie technique. So find your favorite actor or actress who's a native English speaker, and you just play little parts of their movies. And you play one sentence and pause, and then you say the same sentence. You copy their emotion, you copy how they move, copy the way they use their face and their mouth. And of course, most importantly, copy the rhythm and the sound of their speaking. Try to sound exactly like them. And then you play the next sentence and you do the same thing again and again. And you do this every single day, and your pronunciation will get better. It will become good enough. That's all you need to know. Good enough is fine. Now I'm answering questions on Twitter. Again, it's twitter.com/AJHOGE. Answering your questions now. Great, fantastic question from Max. 1947 Roswell is his Twitter account. Can it be useful to talk about personal experiences in a public speech, as you suggest in job interviews? Yes. Super useful. Talking about personal stories in a speech is very powerful. And in fact, the Dale Carnegie course that I keep mentioning, that's the focus of their whole course, is using personal stories in your speeches. It's powerful. You should do it. I do it all the time. So in that event in Hanoi, I began my event with those 3,000 people. I started it with a story. A personal story about a teaching experience I had in the past. I almost always start my presentations with a story. And then I usually include several other stories. What did I do today on this show? I started with a story about Hanoi, about me giving a speech in Hanoi. It's powerful because if you just talk about ideas and facts and statistics, your audience will go to sleep. Maybe it's necessary to give them that information, but you need to give them stories and more personal things around it to keep them interested. Because if you just want to give them facts, then just send it to them in an email. You don't need to give a speech. Speeches are about emotion. The difference between a paper that you write and a speech is emotion. You can give the basic information just by writing it on a paper and send it to people. But to get them to feel the emotions, that is best done through a speech with your voice. So, personal stories, yes. Great comment by Max. Excellent. All right, let's go to our next question on Twitter. Okay, here's another great question. This is from Julia. The Italians are giving lots of questions today. Hey, Jay, what's the best way to get the audience involved? What are the techniques we can use? Well, there are many techniques to get the audience involved, some more difficult than others. The first simplest way to involve the audience, in other words, to make the audience feel they are participating. They're not just sitting back passively. They're actively listening, they're involved, they're excited about what you're saying, is eye contact. Eye contact is the basic way to do that. Some people, because they're nervous, I understand this, I did this in the past too, in the beginning, some people will stare at the wall at the back of the room. Some teachers even tell you to do that. Look at the wall at the back of the room. So you won't feel nervous, you won't be looking at the people. Maybe in the very beginning you can do that if you're terrified, but it's not a very good technique because the audience will kind of feel that you're not connected to them. The best way to do it is that you look at individual people in the audience as you're speaking. So you may say one sentence. Today I'm here to talk about learning English. And you look at one specific person in the audience, maybe on the right side. Then a little later you will change and you'll look at someone else in a different part of the audience. You look in their eyes and you say something else. I will give you techniques for learning English powerfully. And then you move and you look at someone else in the eye. And so through your whole speech, you're looking at different audience members in different locations, and you're looking at one person each time. And you're looking right at their eyes and saying your sentence or saying your little story or information directly to that one person. And then you just keep moving from person to person. That creates a very strong connection between you and the audience. It's a very simple technique. You don't have to jump and shout and go crazy. You don't need to use any difficult technique. That's very simple. Anyone can do it. And it will also help you as a speaker because when you look at people, you'll feel their emotion. You'll know if the audience is losing energy and feeling tired, or if they're maybe having too much energy and they need to calm down for a minute, or if they're distracted, whatever. You'll feel it, you'll see it, and then you can adjust. And they'll like you better. They'll just feel you care because you're looking right at them. Great question. Okay, we have time for 2 more questions, and then we are finished. Twitter.com. For my Effortless English courses, go to effortlessenglishclub.com. effortlessenglishclub.com for our courses, and including our free email course. Okay, Charlie in France mentions that when using the movie technique, find an actor who has the same vocal range as you. Good point. So that pronunciation practice I mentioned. Choose an actor who maybe is a little bit like you. So if someone has a very high voice and your voice is low, don't choose that actor because it will be very tough for you to speak like them. So you want to choose an actor that you feel has maybe a similar personality to you and at least a similar voice to you. They don't need to sound exactly the same, but similar. You want to feel a connection to that actor. So when you're practicing the pronunciation, you'll actually want to sound like them. Key point. Okay, finally, our last question. It's a great question. It's a great warning, in fact. Il Maestro on Twitter says, does making jokes make the speech memorable or better? Don't do jokes. Don't do jokes. That's my best advice. Do not tell jokes. No. Well, actually, yes. It can make your speech memorable in a very bad way. Because most of the time, when someone tries to tell a joke in a speech, it's bad. It's not funny, or maybe it offends some people, or maybe people think it just sounds kind of stupid. Usually when I hear jokes in speeches, it just sounds, I think it sounds like an old person trying to sound funny, even if they're young. I just think it usually doesn't help. Unless you are a professional stand-up comedian. If your job is to stand up in front of people telling jokes and you're good at it, you're a professional comedian, go ahead, tell jokes, okay. But for all the rest of us, including you, no, don't tell jokes in speech. No. You can be funny. You can tell funny stories. That's the way to get humor. That's a much better way. You tell a funny story that has some meaning connected to your topic. People will laugh. I do this all the time when I do lessons. I act crazy sometimes. I jump and shout and I run around the stage and I do all these crazy actions and I tell extremely funny, crazy, weird stories. And people laugh and it's really fun. But I'm doing it for a purpose. It's connected to my topic. It's an English lesson. I'm teaching them vocabulary, or I'm trying to show a point about how bad education in school is, or something like that. It's connected to my topic. So yes, you can be funny, but don't tell jokes. Jokes usually, they're not connected to your topic, so it's just a distraction. Most people are, what's the point of this joke? There's no reason to do it. And the other thing is that usually, unless you're a professional comedian, usually you're not going to do a good job, and joke's not that funny. Or nah, avoid jokes. That's my best advice. All right, finally, Effortless English News. What's happening in Effortless English? Going to Los Angeles today, actually, later today. After this show, I'm packing my bags. Tomoe and I go to Los Angeles. And in LA, I will be recording new VIP lessons, our VIP program, really our best members, our best program. And I'll be recording new lessons for you all down in LA, recording the videos with some professional videographers. We're trying to make the videos a little nicer. We'll see. I hope it works. I will be working on finishing the book finally when I get back from Los Angeles. So my book is about 90% finished, but I need to add some more parts to it. When I get back from LA, I'll be working on that, and I'll let you know as I make progress. Finally, people keep asking me about the public speaking course, and we've had some problems with it. I haven't talked to Aaron in a long time. He's super busy with his business. I'm super busy with Effortless English. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that material now. I still want to have a public speaking course, so I'm trying to figure out how to use the material I have that I did, and maybe I might add more to it and create another little course for you guys. I'm not sure. I'll let you know. So that's it. I enjoyed talking to you. As always, go to effortlessenglishclub.com to get our free email course, to join our Power English course, or especially to join our VIP program. VIP members, I'll be talking to you this month in our usual webinar. I look forward to hearing your voices. So have a great day. Thanks again. Bye for now.